You're listening to the Betoota Advocate's weekly news wrap on Desert Rock FM 96.5. Welcome back to the Betoota Advocate News Bulletin. The date is the 16th of September. It's Monday, live out of the Baxter Boots studio here in downtown Betoota. We're doing it on Monday this week because we actually had a little bit of a spanner thrown in the works. We dropped a John Laws podcast last Monday, which is usually when we drop our interviews, but we received a lot of feedback from management of the man and our own fans saying they'd like us to redo that interview. Bit stiff, bit boring, and actually a bit controversial. Controversial in that it lacked quality, so we will be doing that one again. We've instead dropped our Hello Sport interview on Thursday, and we're doing the Bulletin today. You're joined, of course, by myself, Clancy Overell, editor of the newspaper, editor of the Betoota Advocate, and Errol Parker, editor-at-large. How are you, Errol?
Good, mate. What's going on?
Flat chat, really, here between all those interviews, the aforementioned. We actually are going to get a bit busy around here in the newsroom and in the radio station over the next couple of weeks, while the Michael Usher of the Diamantina Shire, Wendell Hussey, is going to Bali, holidaying like millennials like to do. How are you, Wendell?
I'm very well. I'm very excited too. This time in 24 hours, I'll be sitting in my villa, luxury pool, Chantel and the kids running around having a great time. 3 weeks.
Gotta love a pool bar. Gotta love a pool bar.
Oh,
It's
baby.
got all the hallmarks of you going over there doing a cycle of roids and having your heart pop in the sauna.
And the full-length arm sleeve as well, Errol. Will be making a debut when I get back.
Hell yeah.
Very good. Let's start this bulletin then, and we'll kick off with national news. And ScoMo saves community from bushfire by moving rating back to low.
That's right, 9 in 10 firefighters hate him. With one simple move, he managed to save a community from bushfires just by changing the threat to whatever he wants. It's just the same way he fixed climate change.
And indeed the economy, Errol. You're right, he is putting the fireys out of work by simply telling us that the fire safety warning is now on low to moderate. Morrison said we can move on to more important things now, like giving Paul Gallen the keys to the Shire. Am I right? How good are the Sharks? That's a verbatim quote from the Prime Minister.
Well, Stephen Danks has already given Paul Gallen a head like a Hereford bull, so
Yes, well, how good is that?
it's the natural next step.
Elsewhere around the country and staying down south, we broke a story about the lifting of the controversial lockout laws. We're just about ready to go here. Open the pubs back up, Crown Casino tells Gladys Berejiklian.
Yes, a very Sydney issue right there. Of course, the nightlife-crushing lockout laws that turned a once international city into basically a 4 million person size Port Macquarie has actually been lifted after Crown Casino revealed that they are getting close to laying the roof on the new casino that they were somehow allowed to build.
Perfectly timed there, Clance dog. Not before it killed off a lot of the live music scene down there in Sydney. Not that they ever had one down there in the heart of Sydney. It was more of the Western Sydney, the drill rappers to the boys at 1-4. Hello.
Look, it is not the first example of social cleansing we've seen in Sydney City. The Olympics, everyone remembers that. And, of course, the continued controlled demolition of the Housing Commission towers in South Sydney to be replaced by more towers for luxury apartments that will probably crumble without any dynamite.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to imagine what Sydney's going to be like in the future if, the boomers are still allowed to do these things. So I guess until they're all hanging from the streetlights down there, I guess we won't know what Sydney's potential is.
Well, as some young protesters from Keep Sydney Open have told our newspaper on many occasions, the day of the pillow is coming.
Anthony Lardo, one of our readers from down there, left a comment on that story, raising an interesting point. He said that someone needs to make sure the Department of Home Affairs and Peter Dutton are ready to approve visas for criminally connected Chinese people.
Yes, roll back the lockouts, bring in the high rollers.
In other news outside town now, and disgusting video has emerged of Flume eating a fillet of fish.
I took a bit of an exception to this article, Clancy, that you wrote. I actually think that the fillet of fish is a stellar fish sandwich, and I think you might have got it a bit wrong on this one.
Yeah, well, it's arguable that the fillet of fish was, in this new wave of faux meats, was probably the original, right? The fillet of fish, it's arguably not any form of meat.
It's Barca fillet, mate. 100% Barca fillet.
No, I would have to disagree with that. I reckon they've just run a big plastic bag up and down, the eastern seaboard, and whatever goes in kind of gets blended and bleached and mashed into fillets, I guess you would say, fillets. But yes, Flume was seen eating a fillet of fish. He's since apologised to his mum, saying it was just a joke.
Back home in town now, and a local bloke out on the road for work treats all of his mates to a phone call about absolutely nothing.
We've all been there before, haven't we?
Yes, it's quite a common occurrence, really, as the story goes. Anyone who's out there on the road, they pick up the phone. Obviously, you can't text and drive anymore, but you can go through your group chats and eventually call every single bloke in there. Apparently, his mates have figured out what's going on, and they just screen his calls most of the time now, unless it's a particularly slow day at work for them.
That's right, in other parts of our humble regional town, and we broke a story about a local university student this week. Distinction average student underplays nerdy home life by claiming she definitely failed that exam.
It's always the one you least expect, isn't it, Wendell? I mean, she told her classmates and the advocate that she literally failed, like 100% failed her last exam. That's despite having a distinction average. It doesn't really add up, does it?
No, Ashley was her name. She tried to insinuate to a couple of classmates that she was quite busy on the weekend and couldn't do any of the study for exam, which has since been, after some investigation, proven untrue.
And in sports news now, 3 injured after Ash's victory inspires group of city workers to have a net session.
Yes, everyone was feeling a bit stiff. Some were saying that they were stiffer than a boogie board. But, unfortunately, there were 3 more serious injuries. There was a guy with a torn pec. There was a slipped disc in one back, and unfortunately a broken forearm.
That's what happens when you do no exercise for an entire year and then sprint as fast as you can and try and bowl as quickly as possible for 3 hours off the cuff after watching Steve Smith bring it home for the Australian side in the Ashes.
Well, that's all I've got in front of me for this week. Thanks for tuning in again. See you all when I get back from Bali. Until then, Selamat tinggal.
Arigato, mate.
Have a good one, Wendell.